Thank you, Ms. Griffin. We're moving along pretty fast. Normally we take a break at this time, but if it's okay with the board, we'll continue. Anyone that is going to address the board, please come to the center microphone and introduce yourself, identify yourself, your name, your title, and your institution. At this time, we're going to take up action item number 1, which is review of the minutes of July 26th special meeting, July 27th, 18 regular meeting, and special meeting being on page 1 through 1. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of July 26th special meeting and July 27th regular meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions or corrections to the minutes of those? All in favor of approving the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, like sign. At this time, I'm going to ask for a vote on the nominating committee. It's agenda item number 2. I'm recommending that I will chair this committee. Dr. Michael Stanton will be on the committee, and Dr. Olin Cook. Do I hear any other suggestions for membership on the
I move to approve this.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving this agenda item number 2 signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Dr. Markham, you're on for agenda item number 3, please. And
good morning.
Morning.
You'll see on the slide we have our proposed coordinating board meeting schedule for 2019. We would like to thank University of Central Arkansas and UA Fort Smith for being willing to host us for our July and October meetings. So I present this for your approval. Also, in conversations prior to the meeting, there was some discussion about the start time for the meeting. So if you would like to also discuss that with the proposed meeting schedule.
I started that discussion this morning a little bit. It's been brought up in the past. If we push this back 30 minutes, would that prevent anybody from having the need to come the night before to stay? Is that a barrier on anybody, or would that be beneficial to anyone?
Are you talking about having committee meetings at 8 o'clock and?
No, going the other way. So pushing it back about 30 minutes to give people time to drive in the morning. Would that eliminate the need to stay overnight for anybody the night before?
It would for me.
I mean, that would keep me from having to come the night before. But, 9 o'clock, I still got to get pretty early start.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know what.
Right. Just as a little background, directors and boards previous have taken a little longer for board meetings. And we traditionally have run through lunch, but in the last 2 years, we seem to be moving through our agenda items a little more quickly. So, if it's up to the board, whatever your pleasure.
Well, one other thing, when I started, I know that people we took a break. And that break sometimes was 30 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
And there were there's been some longer meetings. I'm sure there will be. Whatever y'all want to do.
To Dr. Markham's point, in the past, 5, 6, 10 years ago, it took longer to get through the reports for whatever reason. And the last 2 years, we've been moving rather quickly. I would certainly support starting at 10 o'clock. I think that would help a lot of folks driving in, and it would save money for the hotel and motel bills. So whatever, would that bother the
The department,
See,
we can accommodate whatever you choose. I know the institutions would probably appreciate a 10 o'clock start date, especially for those coming from Fayetteville and, Jonesboro, corners of the state.
well, that would not have to take a motion on our part. You could just set that up, couldn't you? And we just need to vote on these places to meet. Is that?
That's correct.
I would, just before we do that, I would be interested if anybody in the audience has any opinion. Does anybody hear me?
Those that like to 10 o'clock, start at 10, raise your hand.
It seems like that we started that discussion at the last meeting and didn't really move on it, but I figured that would garner some support this morning.
Do I hear a motion to approve the schedule of meetings for 2019?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Ayes have it. Next item, Dr. Mark.
Agenda item number 4 in your agenda book, you will find my full report for activities of the director's office. However, we have some other things that we wanted to cover today too. First of all, we have some new faces at ADHE. We have Ms. Pamela Anderson. She's our new coordinator for institutional finance. She started with us in July. And we also have Mr. Terrence Youngblood. He is our new program coordinator in academic affairs. He started in September. So we welcome them to ADHE. We also have some institutional leadership changes. Dr. Eric Turner has departed from Black River Technical College as their president. We have Dr. Jan Ziegler as interim at Black River. I understand that the search has begun for a permanent president at Black River Technical College, but we do welcome Jan. She's a familiar face to higher ed. She's been with the 2-year college group for quite some time, and we go back many, many years, so we're happy to have her as well. Dr. Paul Barron has left us for South Dakota. Not sure about that decision-making process, but he has left UA Fort Smith. Dr. Edward Cerna is the interim chancellor at UA Fort Smith. He's been there since 2015, so we welcome him in the interim. In the private institutions, we have an interim president at Arkansas Baptist College in Little Rock, and that is Regina Favors. We also had a departure from Arkansas Community Colleges. Bill Stovall has left that organization and has joined a lobbying firm here in Little Rock. And in his absence, former director to ACC, Executive Director Ed Franklin, has returned to serve as interim, and he has assured me he is very much interim. He plans to be back with his grandkids on his boat very soon, but he agreed to come back and provide some leadership during the interim time period for Arkansas Community Colleges. Along with that state leadership issue, we also have some vacancies and planned vacancies on the coordinating board. I do invite your institutions to suggest coordinating board members. There is a process for application through boards and commissions, but we'd be happy to provide some guidance to you if you have former board members of your boards of trustees who you think would provide good leadership for the coordinating board. We are looking for additional coordinating board members. I want to talk a little bit about Governor Hutchison's transformation plan. As many of you are aware, Governor Hutchison has unveiled his plan for reduction of cabinet-level agencies from 42 down to 15. How that affects, it's a very difficult chart to read for those of you in the audience. Department of Higher Education will become part of a larger Department of Education. You can see us to the far right. They will be, state government will be reorganized under Department of Education to include pre-K, career education, K-12 education, schools for the deaf and blind, higher education, and the Martin Luther King Commission and Board. So at some point over the course of the next couple of years, we will see a new Secretary for Education that will have leadership over all pre-K through higher education departments in the state. We were assured that there would be no impact on our institutions. They will remain autonomous with their independence under Amendment 33. And we will also retain our independent coordinating board. So really for higher education, it's more of an organizational chart change and less of a functional change. We don't expect any reductions in staff as we are a relatively lean agency as it is. However, there are some opportunities for collaboration with other departments, both in personnel, services, and technology. So we do look forward to stealing some things from Department of Education because they have all the fun toys. But that is the transformation update. Also, as you're aware from our last board meeting, our senior staff met in July to do an update of our master plan. We are working on the publication that you will see hopefully for the January board meeting, but part of that update, we are looking at best practices, things that we've already seen that are working in the state to help improve student attainment. And we developed a Closing the Gap award. We asked our institutions to submit nominations for best practices. We had a panel at the department that reviewed those, and I am pleased to announce the winners of each of the 4 categories this morning. They don't know who they are, so I don't know if we have an institutional representative here from each of these institutions, but if you have questions about their strategies for improving attainment, I'd like to give them an opportunity to share. Support for underserved minority students, that was one of our strategic goals. The winning application for that award was Northwest Arkansas Community College and their LIFE program. It's a near-peer mentoring program. They have 8 individuals who go out into the area high schools to mentor students. Although it's not exclusive to the Hispanic population, that is their target population. 91% of their students identify as Hispanic or Latino. So their outcomes, I won't read those to you, you'll see them there below, but this program at Northwest Arkansas Community College was definitely an outstanding program for outreach for underserved minority students. So congratulations to Northwest Arkansas Community College. In the category of support for adult learners, Arkansas Tech University was our winning applicant in that category. And their Elevate program, their Career Advancement Academy, along with their expansion of other career services and expansion of their virtual models of learning, put them ahead of the pack for their adult learner program. So we congratulate Arkansas Tech University on making excellent progress in the adult learner population. Improved institutional efficiency. Our award winner there was University of Arkansas at Cossatot for their textbook program. So they've moved away from the traditional textbook store on their campus to open educational resources and a rental program. And they estimate that they have saved students approximately $1.1 million over the last 2.5 years in textbook expenses. So that has made education much more affordable for their students, and it's also more affordable for the institution. So we congratulate University of Arkansas at Cossatot for their institutional efficiency initiative. And increased student completion, East Arkansas Community College began a concurrent credit convocation. This has recognized students in their concurrent programs for both traditional general education, concurrent enrollment, as well as their technical training. It was a very well received event, and it has increased the student participation and concurrent students enrolled at their institution. So that was their effort to improve student completion. So congratulations to East Arkansas Community College for that initiative. Are there any questions for the board for these institutions?
Let me say this. Out of interest, I think I just want to say this. About 5 people back, we did the same thing, or they did the same thing, and so maybe the group in between did the taken apart. So they had to go back, and I think it makes sense to do that again because things do change.
Yes, sir. And I would like to mention, Alicia, you may have to correct me on this. I think we had around 75 applications for the Closing the Gap Awards in various categories, and all of those are going to be included in our master plan update as best practices to be shared among the institutions. So we appreciate all of the institutions making application and sharing your best practices across our colleges and universities. And that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Markham. Agenda item number 6. Did I skip one?
This is number 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Review the audit.
In accordance with ACA 10-418, I am presenting our audit findings for 2017, comments and recommendations to the board. You have that full audit report in your agenda book, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Not a question because I already asked you, but would you explain what their findings were and why
Our finding was we have an old teacher education loan forgiveness program that was eliminated legislatively several years ago. So we no longer offer the loan forgiveness program. However, we have students who were part of this old program that are still in repayment. Because the program was eliminated, it also eliminated the position within the department that managed that program. And we had not done a sufficient job of reconciling students who are in repayment as far as our record keeping. So based on those findings, we've assigned that to an existing staff member to bring those records up to date.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Agenda item number 6, Sonia Hazelwood will present that.
Good morning. In the spirit of keeping short reports, this is about 5 slides. So, this is the annual report on academic program deletions. Throughout the year, ADHE academic staff received letters of notification from colleges and universities informing us of their intent to delete an academic program. Each quarter, those deletions are presented for approval in the letters of notification agenda item. This annual report provides a summary of all academic programs and deleted during the 2017-18 academic year. This chart shows the academic program deletions between the years of academic year 2014 and 2018. The blue bars represent the 4-year universities. The orange bars represent the 2-year colleges, and then the gray bars is just a total of the 2. The 2-year colleges accounted for 80% of all academic program deletions in the academic year 2017-18. The 4-year universities had 20% of the 17-18 academic program deletions. This chart just shows you a breakdown by degree level. Bachelor's and higher level credentials comprise only 12% of all academic program deletions in 17-18. Associate degrees and certificates accounted for 88% of the 17-18 academic program deletions.
Let me ask this question. I should know that. That includes private institutions as well?
No, this only includes public.
Only the other.
Right.
Okay.
This chart just breaks it down by 4-year institutions. Arkansas State University Jonesboro, University of Arkansas Fayetteville, and University of Arkansas Fort Smith deleted the most academic programs during 17-18 academic year, each eliminating 5 programs. For the 2-year colleges, National Park College deleted the most academic programs during the 17-18 year, followed by SAU Tech, Cossatot Community College, and Arkansas State University BB. Are there any questions?
Is there one, I guess, standout reason why institutions are deleting programs? Is it funds, students, or?
Well, for the most part, for the 2-year colleges, it's usually industry-driven. businesses come in and they have a need for certain programs, and the Career College, creates a program to meet a certain need. And once those students get through those programs, the need goes away. And for program viability purposes, the institution decides that it's in their best interest to delete that program and move on to the next industry needs. So that's why you see the difference between the number of programs deleted for the 2-year compared to the 4-year. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hazelwood. Agenda item number 7 and 8 will be presented by Ms. Ann Clemmer. Clemmer?
Good morning, everyone. So this is the annual report on sexual assault prevention on campus. It is legislation arriving out of Act 563 of 2017. Under this, the Higher Education Coordinating Board was to develop an action plan to address the prevention of sexual assault on college and university campuses. ADHE has collected the annual campus status reports for the 2017-2018 academic year as required by the legislation. You'll see on there the list of legislative requirements. I'll try to run through those quickly. And part of the reason I'm addressing this is a relatively new report. Campuses are still getting used to developing these activities, so we wanted to talk about this a little bit. Campuses are to incorporate sexual assault prevention into advising and student orientation. They're to integrate information into academic courses as appropriate, to identify opportunities to raise awareness and provide resources for sexual assault prevention across the entire student population, to identify available grants and partnerships to assist with the work, to collaborate with sources for access to care, and to identify other topics or issues relating to the prevention and reduction of sexual assault. Not moving on yet, I'll leave that up. In addition to meeting the minimum mandates of the legislation, the reporting institutions have embraced the goals of Act 563 and engaged in some other activities, and I wanted to highlight a few of those for you. You may be familiar with the Clothesline Project. These are done around the country where clotheslines are erected in public facilities, courtyards, in this case campuses, to spotlight the problem of sexual assault and domestic violence. Shirts are hung on a clothesline, and each shirt represents a victim. And a number of our campuses did that this year on their campus. So I've got a couple of interesting ones. SAU Tech has received a planning grant to work with the U.S. Department of Justice. They are part of a community team that includes the Camden Police Department and the Women's Crisis Center of Camden. Ozarka College has incorporated sexual assault prevention into their spring fling activities. We see campuses in this report and in the next agenda item that are using their campus activities towards a theme, and many of them are doing things on sexual assault prevention as well as unplanned pregnancy, which is the next report. UA Fort Smith scheduled in-person sexual assault prevention presentations into the new student orientation, even creating mini orientations for the last-minute student registrations. We know, and some of the legislators, when the bills were being discussed and debated, they don't want just an online checkbox saying, yes, I've seen this, because they know that students just race through them, and like we accept conditions on our phone for the new iOS update, they want students to pay attention, and so they wanted more of these done in person. UAFS has done that. At UA Cossatot, the Center for Student Success is hosting the No More campaign each March. This is a week-long awareness campaign on sexual assault prevention and awareness. And although this isn't last year's, it was on their report, NWAC is hosting a community art display, and it's entitled, What Were You Wearing? And it's going to be conducted, this art display is going to be conducted during the Sexual Assault Prevention Month. And it's part of a national campaign that challenges participants to understand that sexual assault is never about what you're wearing. This legislation does require that ADHE report to the chairs of the House and Senate Education Committees and to the chairs of the House and Senate Public Health Committees. Hopefully, we will be able to report full compliance when this report is submitted next week. That's your subtle reminder that we are still waiting on a couple of these, even though they were due a couple of months ago. I'm not naming any names. The next agenda item is the unplanned pregnancy prevention report. For background, sexual assault prevention work was really kind of modeled after the unplanned pregnancy prevention report. Under Act 943 of 2015, the Higher Education Coordinating Board was directed to develop an action plan to address unplanned pregnancies on college campuses. ADHE has collected the campus implementation reports for this past year. We have collected reports from all public institutions, 4-year and 2-year, so that's 33 reports altogether that we read. And the reports do show that all campuses are in compliance with Act 943. This legislation directs higher education institutions in 9 areas. Among those directives, colleges and universities are to identify methods of addressing the problem of unplanned pregnancy, to collaborate with health centers to identify a measure of success and to incorporate into academic coursework as appropriate. I underlined the last sentence because the legislation mandates that campuses include in their orientations information on the prevention of unplanned pregnancy. The implementation reports that we have collected on both of these will be scanned and posted on the ADHE website so that campuses can look at these reports, what's being done at other schools, and they can model their own activities after them. We encourage borrowing. I wanted to mention a couple of highlights. Arkansas Tech, because some schools are doing, frankly, they're doing the mandated minimums, but some of these institutions and many others are really embracing this and acknowledging that, for instance, in this case, an unplanned pregnancy is a big intervention and your success as a college student very often. Arkansas Tech University had ongoing programming throughout the school year that began with resident hall director training on health services available for students, including birth control. A fall workshop and a sexual responsibility week in February offered training and presentations that informed students about abstinence, safe sex, and preventing unplanned pregnancy. Notably, a campus-produced online magazine that included several topics related to unplanned pregnancy and sexual health had over 3,500 visits. That's pretty good. Henderson State University's Campus Health Center works with the local health department to obtain contraceptives for students, and their APRN has implemented a priority oral contraception policy, which helps students that are in need of birth control but unable to get an immediate appointment. The APRN assists them with temporary prescriptions and also with providing the student a provider, a name of someone to go see locally if they need help. Their health center is also screening all student patients for sexual health, drug, alcohol abuse, and depression. The campus is engaged in year-round activities that include mentor programs. By mentor programs, they're reaching out to younger students because we know this, the earlier the better. So they're using these programs, they have training available and online lesson plans. This is what's really good here. They have integrated unplanned pregnancy content into 17 different academic courses. At Southern Arkansas University, our next one, every student who sees a nurse or a nurse practitioner, regardless of their ailment, will receive information about unplanned pregnancy. The campus provides statistics for unplanned teen pregnancy to parents that are attending freshman orientation. Parents are made aware that their students will be provided with resources for preventing unplanned pregnancy throughout the school year. Unplanned pregnancy information is shared via the first-year seminar classes And a number of campuses did this. When they have first year experience courses, they're putting this information in there. As requested in item number 4 of the legislation, SAU is including unplanned pregnancy counseling conversations with upward bound students. So they're participating in that mentorship. At UA Fort Smith, a resource list is shared with parents of incoming students that include nearby resources for health and other human services. Actual workshops for pregnancy prevention were held as part of their multi-day immersion experience for new students. Residence halls had themes each month, hashtagged You Matter, with bulletin boards decorated accordingly. January and February both had health and pregnancy prevention as themes. UA Little Rock, their activities included a list of things that the residence halls are doing aimed at prevention, including the distribution of 4x6 cards to every student resident. They have incorporated material into their first year experience course as well. UA Little Rock also collaborated with ADHE to present at the Partners for Student Success Conference with a program titled Preventing Unplanned Pregnancies on Your Campus in 140 Characters or Less. That was obviously a reference to Twitter, and I'm not sure how that worked, but this presentation was aimed at spreading awareness of the legislation and promoting campus activities for compliance. Notably, the health services at UA Little Rock, are able to offer eligible students long-acting contraceptives by expanding their third-party billing and certification of their APRNs. We had some two-year college standouts. And the reason I'm mentioning them is that these campuses might grumble a time or two, and I think sometimes they grumble because they don't think anybody's paying attention to what they're doing. And so we wanted you to be aware of some of the ways that they're embracing these legislative mandates. ASU Mid-South has utilized their first-year experience course to impress upon students the challenges an unplanned pregnancy can bring to completing a college credential. They took students to the East Arkansas Family Health Center and familiarized them with the services offered there. You probably all know that most two-year campuses do not have a full-time nurse on campus, so it's really important for them to show them the local resources available. An annual campus health fair in the spring and the campus-wide Unplanned Pregnancy Fall event distributed information on unplanned pregnancy. ASU Mid-South developed programs for their athletes and partnerships with home visiting services to reach more students with unplanned pregnancy information. This legislation was started by Representative Deborah Ferguson, and West Memphis is her home, so she wanted her campus to be a standout, I'm sure. The College of the Ouachitas has incorporated unplanned pregnancy material in freshman experience courses. They have devoted a full class period to the delivery of medically accurate prevention information. The instructor is conducting pre-test and post-test to gauge student learning. One of the legislative directives was for schools to find a measure of success, and they've done that. Students who are also parents are participating in the various panels where they talk about the challenges of parenting while in college. All incoming students who indicate that they are also parents are screened for participation in the Career Pathways Initiative for Healthy Family Resources, and they are encouraged to apply for the CADC Single Parent Scholarship. At UA Hope Texarkana, our last school, they also incorporated unplanned pregnancy into first-year experience course. They conducted an awareness campaign in conjunction with the Arkansas Department of Health. They partnered with First Choice Pregnancy Resource Center for their abstinence programs and adoption referral services. They worked with the Hope Academy of Public Service in their 9th grade class with college preparedness and a discussion on unplanned pregnancy, which is part of that reaching out that the legislation requests of colleges. They don't demand it, but they request that part. UA Hope Texarkana has applied for a grant, as also encouraged in the legislation, to move toward a professional advising model, which will have emphasis on life coaching and include information on unplanned pregnancy prevention. We are encouraged by the activities, student success by both of these agenda items, preventing unplanned pregnancy and prevention of sexual assault, as you know, more and more in the news lately. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Clem, for those excellent reports. Very important. Any questions or comments further on these two items? They are action items. We will take a vote on them. Do I hear a motion to approve action item number 7 and number 8?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving 7 and 8 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, like sign, passed. And Mr. Al Bordell will present the report on the Finance Committee. Al?
Dr. Allen, the Finance Committee recommends the approval of agenda items 11 through 13.
Do I hear a second for those agenda items?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Favor of passing, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Thank you, Mr. Bordell. Ms. Griffin will present the report on the Academic Committee. Ms. Griffin?
Thank you, Dr. Allen. The Academic Committee has reviewed items 20 and 21, and we recommend the approval of agenda items 14 through 19.
Do I hear a second to approve agenda items 14 through 19? Second. I have a second. Those in favor of approving these items signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? We will now open up the floor for presidents and chancellors to address the board. Would anyone like to address the board at this time? We have announcements. The annual trustee conference will be November the 16th, 2018 at UAPTC. That's a campus in North Little Rock, Alaska Tech. Yes. Meeting starts at 9. Is that correct? Do we know? We'll be getting information on it, but look forward to seeing you there. Our next AHECB board meeting, quarterly, will meet on January the 25th here at the Higher Ed boardroom. There's nothing else to be addressed. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? And if you do not vote for this, then you buy our lunch. Do I hear a motion? We are adjourned.